it's going to be an interesting fight. I like the fight. It's going to be interesting to see if Rosario. We know Charlo. His track record is there. You know, he's consistent with what he is. He is what he is. We're not sure what we're going to get out of Rosario, and that's what's going to be interesting. At the end of the day, I think that it's a good, entertaining fight. As I said, based on the styles, I think they both like to engage. Harris, who's not known as an inside fighter, was beating Charlo, as I said, in the trenches. Can Rosario do the same thing? The outcome I think Charlo's definitely beatable, but he's a solid, physical, strong guy who's probably got less holes or gaps in his style than Rosario. And he's been more consistent. You know, again, we know what his body of work has been. He's been more steadier. And so I'm going to go with him by unanimous decision or late round stoppage. But again, in a very interesting fight, but I'll go with Charlo.
I heard J-Rock and Breadman, his trainer, Stephen Breadman Edwards, before that fight talking about Rosario, and they had wanted to bring Rosario in as a sparring partner, or someone had suggested, and Julian said, no, we're not going to spar him. We're going to eventually fight. That kid is good. I don't want him here sparring with me because we're headed for a fight. This is like months, maybe a year before they fought. So then they did match up. So they knew Rosario was a problem, enough so that they didn't want him in camp with them. But to your point, the line reflects that question mark about Rosario and his record, because Charlo is a minus 400 favorite to plus 300 on Rosario. At that kind of line, I agree with you that Charlo probably should win this fight, but I think at plus 300, I'd take a flyer on Rosario. I think that I could see Rosario winning this fight, although I think Charlo wins it. But, you know, and if you want to make a bet, and if you want to take that, take advantage of that line, you can check out MyBookie. Check them out at mybookie.ag. Use the promo code ATLAS, ATLAS, for 100% credit on your first deposit. So you deposit $1,000, they'll give you an extra $1,000 to play with in honor of the NFL season, and we'll come back to MyBookie later in the show. But interesting thoughts there, Teddy.
Oh, you left out one part.
What is it?
That if you hit the parlay, you get a trim from Ken's barber. Right?
If you could pick the parlay of the two winners in the Charlo Derevyanchenko and Charlo Rosario fight, we'll work out a deal for you. I'm sure he'll do like a 20% off coupon code or something at the Westside Barber Company, Brandon Craven. So in the other matchup, we've got the other Charlo brother, and I'm always going to confuse the first names because they're so similar, but Charlo versus Derevyanchenko. That, to me, is a real 50-50 fight, and the line reflects it. Charlo at minus 135, Derevyanchenko at plus 105. Derevyanchenko's been in there with some killers and looked really good against Danny Jacobs. He looked good against Triple G. This is a real test for Charlo, probably the toughest test he may have had. Let me check out his record, but I think this is one of the toughest fights he's had.
No, it is. No, I agree. I mean, some people, they might point to Austin Trout, but Trout was older and, quite frankly, was used up. A little shop one when Charlo fought him. Charlo was
32 pro fights for Trout.
Yeah, Charlo was too young and strong for Trout, and it was actually a good style matchup for Charlo. But Trout was the best guy he had fought as far as, you know, name and resume.
But, and he beat Julian Williams.
Yeah, but right now, yes. But right now, he caught Williams. He just caught him with a really clean shot.
Yep.
But right now, there's no doubt in my mind that Derevyanchenko is the best fighter that Charlo has fought. And Charlo's been a champion for a little while now. So that's a little bit of a statement. But also, just to make it clear to our fans, Jermall Charlo is the middleweight, and Jermell is the junior middleweight. So we're talking about Jermall, the middleweight, right now. And Derevyanchenko has shown his worth. I thought, really, that technically he probably beat Triple G in his last fight.
I thought he also beat Jacobs.
I didn't think he beat Jacobs. But
He got a split decision on Jacobs and unanimous against Triple G, just for the record.
But I think what mattered in that fight is that he showed he belongs. He showed he belongs at the top of the class in middleweights, and that he can handle any of them. You know, he can fit in with any of them. So Derevyanchenko's simple. He's not complicated. He's a guy that brings it. He throws a lot of punches. Oh, my goodness, he throws so many punches. You better have your cardio really in place and also your defense. But he's not a huge puncher, but he's as we say, you know, he's a volume guy. And he makes those CompuBox guys have to ice their fingers down in between rounds because he does not stop. And he's got the chin to do it, you know. He can stay in there. He's got the physical ability to endure. And what do you have in Charlo? Well, you have similar, you know, bigger than his brother, but similar, good, solid guy technically, confidence, undefeated, hasn't learned how to lose yet. Physical element to him, you know, physically strong, but he's right in front of you too. You know, I know he'll negotiate distance and do the things that fighters should do at that level, but it's not like you got to go look for him. And that's good news for Derevyanchenko, you know, because he's going to be right there. And he's going to be, you know, basically bringing his lunch pail, because that's the kind of fighter he is. He's going to bring his lunch pail, you know, and say, hey, I'm here for the day. How about you? You know? And so it should be a fun fight, Ken. It should be a fun fight to watch. And at the end of the day, for my booking people out there, I'm going to give you a little something. I'm going to go with the upset. I'm going to say that 3 is a charm, and he's already fought for the title twice. Maybe deserved to win the last one. He fought Jacobs, then he fought Golovkin. Didn't get, obviously, either one of them. I'm going to say the 3rd is the charm, and he wins his title in a what would be a nice upset against Charlo. Now, am I going to be shocked if Charlo, you know, wins that? Of course not, because I'm picking an underdog. So if you're picking an underdog, you already know that most people don't think he's going to win. So I wouldn't be shocked if the favorite won. But I'm going to say this is a spot where it might not be a bad play to put a little, you know, put a little haircut money on Mr. Derevyanchenko, you know?